Um, so welcome everyone to this webinar. Can you just give me a wave if you can hear me? Can anyone hear? Ah, great, thank you so much. Okay, good. Welcome to this webinar on outdoor learning, and thank you very much for coming. Let's see if this is going to work. So, I know that outdoor learning has been especially encouraged recently since the coronavirus spreads less easily outdoors. What I'm talking about will be relevant to that, but not exclusively. We're going to discuss why outdoor learning is such a good idea, followed by how to get it started in your setting. And I've divided that how into imagine, try it, collaborate, and share. First of all, this is me. I work 2.5 days as a class teacher in Year 4 and 2 days a week as the outdoor learning leader at Elsley Primary School. It's a very varied role, as you can see from these pictures. This is Elsley Primary School where I work. It's a multi-faith state school in northwest London, and we're proud to have a very diverse staff and pupil family that reflects the area that we're situated in. Over 85% of our pupils have English as an additional language, and it's common for us to have 10 or more languages spoken in one individual class. Apart from that, the school is in an area of high deprivation. We're a referral agency for a food bank, and through the pandemic, we had to set up our own food bank to put food on the tables for the families who literally had nothing to eat. Apart from COVID, we frequently see children living in temporary accommodation and in overcrowded living conditions. Just let in. Okay. I've just seen the comments. Yes, you're seeing you and not the slides. Some people can see the slides. Not sure what I can do about that. Okay, most people are seeing the slides. Okay, I'll carry on. And I'll send this PowerPoint round afterwards, if you like. So why outdoor learning? Children aged 5 to 6 now spend an average of 6.5 hours a day in front of a screen, according to the market research firm Childwise. And more than 1 in 9 children in England have not set foot in a park, forest, beach, or any other natural environment for at least 12 months. With these statistics, the national obesity crisis and the mental health crisis in children should not come as a surprise. Likewise, with this level of disconnection from the physical world, is it any wonder that human destruction of climate now means that we're bringing about the end of the world as we know it? One of the most tragic things that all of these have in common is the fact that they affect poorer communities more quickly and more harshly than richer communities. No one will protect what they don't care about, and no one will care about what they have never experienced, says David Attenborough. The children at our school have amazing life experiences, rich extended family networks, religious communities, speaking 2 or more languages, and living in different countries. At the same time, for many of them, experience of the natural world is extremely limited, especially since the nearest public green space is nearly a mile away from our school. At Elsley, we want to ensure that despite these challenges, all our children have the tools they need to live healthily in connection with their own bodies and the physical world around them, in order to have the greatest chances to live healthy lives and have their voices heard when they grow up. My greatest hope is that the children at Elsley will be the adults who turn these crises around. So my own desire to take the children outside started not from statistics, but from seeing the overcrowded living conditions that our children were coming from and witnessing their frustration in the classroom. I wanted to introduce them to a sense of wonder and freedom while they're still little, something that they could draw on as they grow up. But talking about wonder and freedom doesn't go down so well with the governors and the funders. So here's a piece of government-funded research called Natural Connections. I would strongly recommend looking it up in detail if this is something that you're interested in. You can just find it on Google. It's the biggest piece of research into outdoor learning in schools, primary and secondary, that we have in the UK, working with 125 schools in the southwest of England, including a range of wealth and deprivation. The research concluded that the vast majority of children said outdoor learning makes lessons more enjoyable, that they felt happier and healthier and got on better with others outside. The vast majority of schools said outdoor learning improves pupils' social skills, their health and well-being, and engages them with learning and has a positive impact on behaviour. And on top of these benefits for children, 90% of staff surveyed found outdoor learning useful for curriculum delivery. 72% of staff reported a positive impact on their own health and well-being, and 69% said it had a positive impact on their job satisfaction. This also shows how the more enjoyment of outdoor lessons eventually leads to raised attainment. So we're now moving out of the why into the how of outdoor learning. People frequently ask, where should I start? And I would suggest that the best place to start is in your imagination. Take a walk around your school or your setting with your imagination wide open and do some blue sky thinking. Don't listen to the part of your brain that says, yeah, but, quite yet. Just imagine. For example, these muddy corners that were around the edge of our school, what could you do with them? What are the possibilities? Likewise, this space here that wasn't used for anything, what would be your dream for this space? And to help your imagination, I'm going to show you a few pictures of what we've done with these spaces in the last couple of years. On the muddy patches, we put up raised beds and planted vegetables in it. The children take part in planting the vegetables, harvesting them, and taking them to the canteen to go into school lunches, or taking part in class cooking lessons. In the unused grassy patch at the side, we started a farm. We own chickens, guinea pigs, and rabbits, and have larger farm animals that stay with us for a term at a time. It's no exaggeration to say that having the animals wandering around the school grounds totally changes the feel of the place, bringing exciting new experiences, a sense of calm and wonder, and reconnecting the children with their food. And just to say at this point, I am not a farmer. Prior to this, I'd never kept anything bigger than a hamster. So this is a learning curve for all of us. Endless new discussions and new vocabulary. The lambs we had were orphaned, so the children got a chance to bottle feed them. You can only imagine their excitement, but also the self-regulation that was needed to ensure that they were quiet in the shed to not scare the animals. We found that children with social and emotional needs respond particularly well, calming themselves right down and practicing empathy to care for the animals. We even had an autistic boy in nursery who had been non-verbal up until this point say his first word. When a sheep baaed right in his face, he responded back with a baa. Involving lots of different staff members, gaining competence and confidence, problem solving and teamwork, learning new skills, even when things don't always go to plan. So while we're imagining the possibilities, it's important to get stuck in with outdoor learning in whatever way you can, so that it doesn't just stay as a pipe dream, but is rooted in the daily reality of life in your setting. Here are some practical things to think about before taking a class outside. What will your routines be? Remember that routines need to be taught, and going outside to learn might be new for them. So at first they could associate it just with playtime. So you will need to be extremely clear about your behaviour expectations before you go outside. Don't expect them to know. And it could be worth just practicing going out and coming in before you attempt a real lesson. Agree in advance what your signal will be to gather the children together and to communicate with them. Before you let them loose, it's also worth showing them precisely where the physical boundary is that they're allowed to go up to. Think about if you're going to need a risk assessment, for example, if there's fire or involved, or if they're using tools or going near a pond. Remember to bring your resources with you and check the weather in advance. If it's raining a bit, I would normally go out anyway, but I might make it a bit briefer. If it is pouring, then you might need to shuffle the order of your lessons that you do that day. Also, if it is very hot, you'll need to consider the implications, like if they need sun cream, hats, etc. Basically, most of the usual learning objectives can be met or partially met outside with a little imagination. On the left, a Year 5 child is being filmed reading out his persuasive writing on caring for different animals. While on the right, Year 1 children made a basic pictogram of things they found in the playground to introduce handling data. This is an example of the way that growing vegetables has been used within the maths curriculum for problem solving, and the fact that the children actually planted the vegetables made it much more engaging for them than a simple worksheet. And this was a poetry lesson for Year 2. They came outside to our log circle and used their senses to write a poem together about autumn. They then transferred their skills to the classroom and wrote their own poems. And here are just a few more examples of curriculum lessons that have been taught outside at Elsley. I'd recommend, to get you started, having a look at this book, Dirty Teaching by Juliet Robertson. It's very practical and it's full of tips and ideas to get going. You might also want to get some more experience at this point for putting your dreams into practice. So at this point, I started experimenting with growing potatoes at home, and I did a week of work experience at Kentish Town City Farm. Stage 3 of the how is collaboration. So I have come across some people who have done introduced outdoor learning by themselves into school, but generally they get more work than is humanly possible, and when they leave, the outdoor learning stops. If I cannot leave and be confident that the outdoor learning at Elsley will carry on without me, then I have not done my job. It needs to be so embedded in the culture of the school that it would be unthinkable to carry on without it. So I use these post-it notes on the map to remind me who I'm collaborating with for which projects. This is a list of some of the groups and organisations that I've collaborated with so far. I would suggest, if it's something you're interested in, taking a photo and looking up these organisations in your own time. I'm hoping that the slides will also be sent round. A whole school approach is much slower, but it's sustainable and has maximum impact on the whole community. You'll need to work with the senior leaders, and preferably with a team, and other staff members as well. You'll need funders and people with expertise. This is a picture of our early years team receiving specialist outdoor training that went with the equipment that was donated by Learning Through Landscapes. Finally, once you've got started, it's important to share it with others. Keep pitching it to people on Twitter, to the governors, the leadership team. For this, I'd recommend measuring the impact as much as possible. This is a staff survey sent out before the summer holidays in 2019. It's also helpful to collect the children's voice and the staff voice. And then share your work with the local community. We've had visits from the local care home, local nursery, nearby toddler group and neighbours on the streets around, as well as the parents of the children at school. Remember that it takes a village to raise a child, and the best way to support the children is to support the wider community. Finally, share your achievements. It inspires others, builds up the morale of the school community, and leads to increased opportunities and funding in the future. So thank you for listening. I'm going to stop there, and do send me an email. My email address is at the top of this slide, or message me on Twitter if you'd like to visit or offer your thoughts, or if you have any questions. I would be really very happy to be in touch. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a really good rest of your day.